Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, I got a big treat for you guys today. That is because I'm going to be playing and talking about a work in progress static recomp of Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. Basically taking the PlayStation Portable game and doing a full static recompilation of it. And it's not like we really have many PlayStation Portable recomps or Grand Theft Auto recomps, so they're going to be a big deal in both different directions. And the developer on this one, Jessica Natalia, chatted with me on Discord in the background about some of the work on this, so I'll definitely be going through that in the video. But I want to caveat this with it's still in active development, and the developer stated, depending on your system, you will get better or worse performance. And it's one of those things, the GitHub repo is live, and the developer is actually hoping more people get involved in getting the performance levels up on this one. So what I did for this video to kind of check around, I have my capture in here, and I also sent it over to Space Rock 12, someone from my Discord that likes to help with captures, and I left a link to their YouTube channel down below, because they have a different system than I do, so I figured it would be really good to kind of check specs across the board and see what sort of performance we're getting. And honestly, for the most part, you can almost get it to hit 60 frames per second, but you will notice some audio issues and hitching here. I'm not saying this is ready for prime time playability yet, but the developer again said they were looking for other people to get involved to get this thing out the door and buttoned up. And honestly, PlayStation Portable recomp tools aren't as robust or mature as stuff we see on the PlayStation 1 or N64 side of things. But the more work that goes into this, the more chances we have of getting a lot more PlayStation Portable recomps in the future. Before we get too far involved though, to be a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But I will tell you when we're switching captures. Right now we're still on Space Rock 12, because some of my captures are actually going to come through in ultra wide 21:9, just because when you actually go to full screen, it will fill your monitor, and I am an ultra wide user. But I will say the performance is getting really close to persistent. There's a DirectX version as well as a Vulkan version, and it really is maybe like 90 to 95% buttoned up as far as the performance is concerned, as every once in a while you might notice a frame hitch here or there. And interestingly enough, on Space Rock system, there was less hitching in the actual frame rate, but more in the audio, where on my system I had pretty clean audio all the way through, but I did have a couple frame hitches, and that was kind of really interesting just because two different instances across two different systems getting different results, but both systems being relatively high spec, and I'll get into the specs in just a moment. But there will come a day when Vice City Stories has a perfect recomp, and again, that's why the developer released this in its current state, to get more people interested in the process so this thing can progress and we can see a perfect Vice City Stories recomp, and that's definitely a world I want to live in. Would you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, did you play this one back in the day? I remember having it on my PSP and having a ton of fun with it. And it's honestly just something, it is open world, it's the Grand Theft Auto that we grew up on, and until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, this is basically going to be some fun that you can have until release date. And as you'll see here, as we navigate around the world more, really smooth frame pacing as far as it's concerned. But I'm going to jump over to my capture in just a moment, and you will notice that it does go ultra wide just because of my monitor's configurations. I really think I need to get a 16:9 monitor just so I can actually hook it up for captures in the future. And I think maybe one of the reasons I was hitching every once in a while is my resolution is 3440 by 1440, where Space Rock 12 has a 1080p 16:9 monitor, so it automatically just basically scale its internal render resolution to your monitor's panel. So for me, I'm pushing a hell of a lot more pixels here on a work in progress draft than Space Rock was, but it really was kind of useful for me to go back and forth from capture to capture and have a second person kind of take a look at it. That way I knew what was going on. But honestly, Vice City Stories 10 out of 10, and I love that it's getting a recomp. The developer on this one's also working out a bunch of shaders for the actual game over on the emulation side, but they wanted to talk about the fact that modding the game via emulation is extremely difficult, so having a static recomp is going to aid in a platform that will allow for Vice City Stories and maybe other PlayStation Portable Grand Theft Auto games to be able to get more in the future. And that's definitely something we all want, because these games are iconic. I absolutely love them, and they're always a vibe. But we're going to go into the first quote-unquote soundtrack sample. Of course, it's just going to be voiceover, because everything in this game is basically licensed audio that we can't let you listen to. So go ahead and get an idea of what the audio sounds like now, and I'll come back with a lot more scenes and performance chat about this recomp.
Man, life's been good to you. Come on, let's take a ride. Here's Jerry's stuff. Tell him my cut goes up next time. Vice City's getting too peligroso for us freelancers. Speaking of which, we've got company. Grab that gun and take them out. Good ship!
So obviously the audio there is not perfect, but it is discernible as voiceover from the game, and obviously all the voices in this game are a vibe in and of themselves in a fun way. And speaking of vibes, there's absolutely no evidence that any of this is using any sort of LLM or Johnny 5 behind the scenes. The developer who's working on it has other mods out there that have absolutely no evidence of it either, but you can go through the GitHub repo, all the code and everything else, but I just tell you guys the best information I have. If you care about it, if you don't care about it, that's totally fine with me, but this one seems to be 100% Johnny 5 free, at least to my eyes. And as we kind of walk through the world again here, it is fun to see this in such high resolution running on PC. And I totally get it, you can emulate this game, and that's why the developer specifically was talking about the fact that a static recomp of Vice City Stories will allow for more mods in the future. Now going back to my capture, you'll see it's slightly out of actual aspect ratio conformity on the X and Y axes. That's because I was trying to dial it into 16:9 in windowed mode, which didn't really want to do all that well, but I'm just kind of curious what it would look like. Like I said earlier, this is still definitely just a proof of concept that you can play around with and have fun with, and the developer stated that yes, you can play the game, you can complete the game, the missions will load, and honestly that's the experience I had. I only had one soft lock where the loading screen just basically would continue to load, but nothing would actually happen in the background. So I want that kind of to be the baseline expectation of this actual PlayStation Portable Recomp. It is an experiment, it's basically the first of its kind, and as more people jump on and work on it, it's going to progress and get better as time goes on, and that is definitely something that's going to benefit not only the PlayStation Portable Recomp community, because there's tons of games out there that would be incredible to get a static recomp, but also the Grand Theft Auto community, because there's been a lot of mods in the past that have just been taken down by Rockstar because they include things that you're not supposed to include, and that was one of the developers' other comment on this one. The entire repo is 100% good to go, clean room, reverse engineered, no issues whatsoever, so it kind of allows it, at least in theory, to be able to be more persistent on the internet. But going back to my capture here in ultra wide, this is just a vibe, running around on the motorcycle, and as I always do, crashing it almost immediately. Getting out of this screen space is just a ton of fun, and something that I absolutely love, even if, of course, Discord had to pop into the corner. I hate when I'm doing captures in ultra wide, but I'm on windowed, and then I basically have everything sitting in front of me. And honestly, as an ultra wide user, it's kind of a pain sometimes. I have two 3440 by 1440 screens next to each other, basically making the most massive panorama of actual visuals you can get. It works really well for editing, but for actual gaming, every once in a while it can be a little bit weird, but I kind of love it all the same. And you will see there is still some popping in the draw distance, something that probably could be improved as this recomp moves on. But that really is the fun part about talking about this stuff. Not every single recomp or PC source port based upon a decompilation launches 100% perfectly. Many projects have issues when they launch even though they think they're done, but some projects basically say, this is as far as I've gotten, I need more hands on deck, so come on board, jump onto the project and help me out. Let's do one more soundtrack sample, again mostly voice, and I'll be right back with some more Grand Theft Auto.
I've been having trouble with them Cholo boys. Some of them have
What the hell is a cholo?
Bunch of Mexican gangbangers, bad boys, trying to take over all the gun running in town.
Look, where's the money, Phil?
Yeah, well, funny thing, you see, it's like this. It's under the floorboards of my old place. But the Cholo evicted me and now I can't get to it.
I'll get to it. See you around. I do this shit for a living. What the fuck is this? Do I look? I wonder if I can cook. Stop this shit. Move it.
I love that Gary Busey is a voice in Vice City Stories, and honestly, they should just make a Grand Theft Auto Gary Busey edition. Forget all the characters in Grand Theft Auto 6, just remake the game and make Gary Busey do things, and I would buy that probably twice, even if I'm probably not going to buy Grand Theft Auto 6, because I really don't like the fact that you can't get a physical copy. And don't forget, it's still a PlayStation Portable game, so sometimes the CPU logic is going to be absolutely borked, and that's just because that's part of the game. As we pop back to my capture here, basically on the spec side of things, I have an i9-12900K with a 3080 Ti and 64 gigabytes of RAM. Where on Space Rock's captures, where he had a little bit better frame rate but worse audio, he's dealing with a Ryzen 9 7900X3D, 64 gigabytes of RAM as well, and a 4070 Super with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's really interesting. The only other difference is I'm still back on Windows 10 because they're not getting rid of me until they absolutely drop support, where Space Rock is on Windows 11. So if you play this, leave me a comment down below and tell me how it's doing for you, and just be aware that the GitHub repo, you're gonna have to build it right now. There's nothing under release tabs, but it's one of those things. It's absolutely worth checking out, and I'm gonna be following this project and its progress because I absolutely love Grand Theft Auto, especially from basically the Grand Theft Auto 3 generation, which clearly this is based on, and I love the PlayStation Portable entries. So it really is a fun time and something that you can have a good time with, and that's always super fun. And because we talk a lot about decomps, recomps, and PC ports on the channel, getting a PlayStation Portable recomp is a big deal because it's going to open the doors to a lot more in the future. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me if you could snap your fingers and make one PlayStation Portable game appear as a perfect recomp, which one would it be? For me, I'm going to go with Dracula X because I always loved that kind of remade version of Rondo of Blood, and I think there could be a lot done with it with static recomps, because again, it is easier to mod them than having to do with the base game for the most part. But short of that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below while we just kind of hang out here and watch Chad in his Porsche 911 convertible just basically get angry at us. And I love that the animations just keep happening over and over again. But I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.